Hello and welcome to this week's video. So today we're going to have a look at these amazing books that were published by Topps, and these look at those vintage trading cards from way back in the day. These books are absolutely amazing and I'm going to love showing them to you. So let's get to it. So this is the first book that Topps Publishing published, I should say, by Abrams Comic Art, looking at the original Star Wars Topps trading cards from back in the day. Now, this one came out in 2015, and just to have a proper look through it, I'm going to take it out of the wrapper. Now, the reason why is because Topps produced these dust wrappers in the same sort of waxy material that the original trading cards came in. Consequently, a lot of these are damaged, okay? This one's not in the greatest of shape, but it's not bad. But you can sort of see that waxy sort of finish on it, which is great, but also it makes storing these books and looking at them in the wrappers quite tricky. So before I go any further, and a little handy tip, take the books out the wrappers before you start going through these. Now, Topps, I believe, really excelled themselves in this series, with the Star Wars ones in particular, simply because they are just so good. And if you were a fan of these books as much as I was, you're just going to love these. Now, in Britain, we only ever had the first two series in trading cards. So we had the red and the blue series, but obviously in the States they had 5 sets. So basically what the books do is go through the original dealer advertising. You've got the boxes there, an empty box, and that's for the boxes for the different series, the first, second, third, fourth and fifth series. And I always remember at school, some kid had been to America and he said, "Oh yeah, they've got green Star Wars cards in America." And I never believed him. I thought, "Nah, you're having a laugh." But of course, he was actually right. And it gives you the text gives you a bit of a background on the series. It lets you know how it came about, how they got the original stills to be used, who did the writing. I mean, absolutely fantastic. And if you're like me, a fan of these early, in particular these Star Wars cards, this book you're just going to love. And of course, not forgetting, in America, each set had a miniature set of stickers in each pack. In each series, we didn't have any stickers in the UK. We just had the basic ones. So, because there's quite a few of these to go through, as you can see, the format is you've literally got every single card. Now, while he's doing this, he is actually also putting some commentary underneath each one as well about the formation of the series, which is fantastic, because a lot of these ones, the backs made up a larger picture, and some of these are just almost iconic, aren't they, nowadays, these photos. I do have a story to tell about that particular card. Back in the mid to late 80s, I wrote to Peter Cushing. He was still alive then. I was in a nursing home by that time, and he would always answer his fan mail. And I sent a load of stuff off, some Doctor Who things, some pictures of him from his Hammer films. I also sent this trading card, my original one from a kid, and he signed it all. So I got this signed trading card. However, when I had the shop later on, a mint set of these British cards came in, and without remembering that I had the signed one of that, I swapped it for the mint set that came in, and I tragically got rid of my my signed Peter Cushing trading card. One of those things. Someone got a bargain that day. Anyway, so you get the idea. So then it goes on to the red series. Obviously, these are the US releases, not the UK. That's really nice there. The where's it gone? That was the. This is what the backs of the cards made up. I mean, I remember this so well. I mean, just fantastic. There's Peter Diamond there in the Tusken Raider outfit. I mean, just fantastic. And this first book in this series then does all 5 series. I think it mentions the uncut sheets. Are just incredible. It is the most comprehensive look at the top trading card series that ever has or will ever be published. It's as simple as that. And then it mentions the Wonder Bread set, which was released in the States only. Yeah, fantastic stuff. And then finally, it actually comes, this one, with 4 actual bonus trading cards. Now, I've left these sealed in because I don't want to not have the book complete, but there's also some original trading cards in there as well, just to add to the authenticity of this series, with the bubblegum on the front. Who remembers sticking 6 of them in your mouth at once? I do. And the broken bit on the back. I mean, that is truly a remarkable book, and I'm sure you will agree, if you're into Star Wars, it's just fantastic. So that's the first book. So here's the follow-up, the inevitable follow-up, which was the Empire Strikes Back, of course. And we had 3 series for this, and these are really heavy books because they're so beautifully printed. I absolutely love them. This is the Topps candy containers. I'm sure collectors know about those, which was another little sideline which Topps did. Now, I'm not going to go into full detail with every one of these, but the books now follow a similar format. So you've got the bonus cards at the back, and every single series, including all the stickers, are covered. And it's just fantastic, absolutely fantastic way to look at these straight from the Topps archives, and they come highly recommended. These ones show the front and backs of the cards, which for the cards which weren't actually used, to make montages on the back. Empire, perhaps my favourite. No, it is. It is my favourite of all the original Star Wars movies. So that's volume 2, which is Empire, and of course they did volume 3, which is Return of the Jedi, and this one, once again, the candy heads at the front, cards at the back, and this shows both Jedi sets as well. Never was a great fan of the Jedi. I love the movie, of course, but never a great fan of the trading card series. My heart really belongs to those original 5 sets that Topps produced in 78, 79. I just love them to death. They're just fantastic. But even so, these are still great and fun. Certainly, the books themselves are phenomenal, and they should be in absolutely every classic Star Wars collector's archive. Even if you don't fancy getting the actual card sets now, this is a really cheap way of doing it. I mean, what's these books in Britain? About £15-16 off Amazon. I will put direct links to all of these below, because they're worth grabbing before they do jump out of print, because eventually they might. Now, as well as looking at the classic series, Topps also did a couple of books on the more modern series, their best modern series. Now, I was a big fan of this when it came out, which was the Star Wars Galaxy cards. This was the very first series, and once again, the artwork used in these is truly fantastic, and certainly I love them. Now, this has got a metallic-y cover rather than a waxy cover, once again simulating the actual trading card packets. This one was 2016, and this Star Wars was starting to become on a real high then. It's got some trading cards in the back again, and they're just fantastic. There was the Star Wars Galaxy magazine. I don't know who remembers that one, but that was brilliant, and I used to pore over that. And in the shop, we'd sell 60-70 copies of that every quarter that the book came out, and they attracted some absolutely phenomenal artists to do these trading cards. It's such a shame that the quality now seems to have gone down over the quantity that they release, so you don't get such high quality and such great named artists as perhaps these early ones did. And I think once again, when this first came out, Star Wars Galaxy, it was perhaps the greatest series of Star Wars trading cards that had come out in literally years, and comes highly recommended. Cam Kennedy there, the classic Dread artist. I mean, they're all, there we are, yeah, absolutely fantastic. A really good book. And in actual fact, what I had stored with that one, so I'm going to get that one out now. When the series was such a success, Topps did release another large format book. So The Art of Star Wars Galaxy. So it's not the first time they've actually raided their archive. And this was one that came into the shop. It includes an uncut sheet, and it says it's limited to 5,000. So since we're here, no time like the present to actually have a little look at this and see what's involved. So we've got a certificate. It is hereby certified that the Art of Star Wars Galaxy with a 9-up card sheet has been limited to 5,000. Okay, so fair dues. So we've got a Macquarie card there, a Series 2 promo card of something like that, and then this is the 9-card uncut sheet that they're on about, which is quite nice, isn't it? With some biographies of the artists. And then the book itself, let's have a little look through that just to see exactly what this one's like. Forward by George Lucas, which is pretty cool. Oh yeah, and it's basically a chance to see the artwork in much greater detail. Jean Girard there, Mobius. Just awesome. Mike Mignola. They did get some really big names in on this to work on this series. And I think it was this surge of interest in the early to mid 90s, when Star Wars started coming back in a really big way, that finally got the studios to look at gearing up to produce the second trilogy. The toy manufacturers woke up and produced, admittedly, the awful initial run, but the figures started to come out again, and Star Wars itself became very much a force to be reckoned with. Fantastic stuff there. Fantastic stuff. So that is those. Now, while we're here, I thought, as well as Star Wars, Topps have been producing trading cards for literally years, and I thought it might be quite fun. I do have the other Topps books that they've produced for their trading cards, so I'm going to just pause there, and then I shall be back in a moment, and we'll have just a very quick look at the other trading card series that they produced. So when I was putting my other books away, I came across Star Wars Galaxy Volume 2. So The Art of Star Wars Galaxy Volume 2. So I didn't want to not include this one, since we are having a look at the trading cards, and it is very much similar to the last one. However, it's looking at the second series in a bit more detail. So once again, a beautiful book, and really complements that trading card series. And if you get the chance to get these, I heartily recommend tracking them down. Okay, so one thing I did almost forget was Topps. The last book that Topps produced for their trading cards was the original Star Wars Widevision cards. Now, these were also particularly amazing at the time, and but I'm not sure why they bothered to produce a book of them, because they're not exactly difficult to get hold of. However, comes with some trading cards. Once again, sadly not Widevision. They show all the box art and the little variations and spin-offs, because they did the original one, then they did the widescreen special editions as well. It was a fantastic series with the premium metal cards as well. They were fantastic in this format. I remember all the Ralph McQuarrie cards and that. once again, a great little series, and one I would just recommend picking up a set of. I don't believe they're a fortune, but they are really, really good books. So that's the Widevision series. Now, I mentioned that Topps have been doing some other books in this range, and I'll just zip through these because they're not strictly Star Wars, but they are really good all the same. So you got the Planet of the Apes here. Now this was Topps have always done Planet of the Apes cards, and this one is they did the set in the 60s, and then they did right up to the 2001 film. So this is a look at all of those, and there's the 2001 film. You got the mid-70s TV series. And then you've got the very rare 1960s series, late 60s with Charlton Heston. So that's the Planet of the Apes, if that's your bag. These are super, super rare. Rarely see those. Good stuff. Good stuff. Then they did, I'm sure many of you remember the Garbage Pail Kids. This is the earlier series. Introduction by Art Spielman, the mouse artist and writer. And these are, once again, these are great fun if you've never had a look at them. Often imitated, never bettered, some might say. They're good stuff. That's the Garbage Pail Kids. All of these come with a pack of stickers in the back. This is another really, really good book, and this is looking at Topps' one and only classic Star Trek series, and these were very much based on the Star Wars cards of the time. So these came out in the mid-70s, and they actually used it was the same chap who worked on these who also created the Star Wars series. Not the greatest of sets by any means, but certainly if you do get your chance to get them, get a set they're worth tracking down. I remember these as a kid. So Bazooka Joe. Now Bazooka Joe, this one's oblong format, as you can see, and Bazooka Joe gum came with a comic strip inside, and these have been going for an awful long time. I had no idea they were back to the 1940s, and if you remember, they had little comics inside the wrappers. I'm not sure who in Britain might remember it, but I remember vaguely getting a Bazooka Joe a belt from a jeans or something. There was lots of memorabilia that went with Bazooka Joe, and certainly much bigger in America than it ever was over here in Britain, but very fascinating book all the same. So Bazooka Joe. Just a couple more. So we got wacky packages. So these were the sort of the fake jokey packages books, and these are quite good. They remind me of Mad magazine quite a bit. And then the very last one is perhaps one of Topps' most famous ever trading card series, which was Mars Attacks. Now, this original Mars Attacks series is a fortune to buy. I mean, every card is like £20 if you want them in nice shape. Even the reprint set is about 40-50 quid. So the best way to experience that original Mars Attacks series is in this Topps book here. And it does, I can't recommend it highly enough. It's $12.99. You'll not spend your money more wisely than having a look at this. So they did release a second set with some new artwork, but the original 55 cards are here. And what a great series and set these are. So this one comes highly recommended. It gives you all the history of Mars Attacks, how it came about, the controversy when they were first published. I mean, just incredible. And this last one does come highly recommended. Well, there you go. I hope you enjoyed looking at these Topps books as much as I did. Now, don't forget, we've got an unboxing of vintage Star Wars toys every other Friday, and when we're not doing that, we'll be looking at other vintage Star Wars such as this. So do keep subscribed, do give this video a thumbs up if you've liked it, and go tell your friends as well, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.